Welcome everyone to my channel. My name is Gopal. I'm a German trauma therapist and spiritual medium. I have worked with clients for more than 10 years now, and I also train therapists, trauma therapists in my method that is called floating. I've written a best-selling book about trauma healing and my self-help method, Honest Sharing. I also have founded international self-help network. So I have quite some experience with groups, with trauma resolving, with helping people. And in this video, I will explain to you my method or the principles of my way to deal with trauma and in general with people who need help. And this is a very unique approach because I don't need any information from the client. Yeah. Also, my therapists that I trained, the method they use, floating, they don't need any information from the client. And this is, of course, very special, and I will explain all that in detail. And I also would like to explain or invite you to my main event. This is an online Zoom event that is called Sunday with Gopal, where you can live be in the audience and watch an individual session that I do with the client. And I do this because I don't need details of the life of the client. Otherwise, I wouldn't do that. So I don't need to know what someone has experienced. I don't need to know the current life circumstances of a client. I don't even need to know why someone booked a session. All this is not necessary for the transformation. That's why I offer this in a large group. Yeah, so you can buy a session ticket. That means you have the real session with me in Sunday with Gopal, and this is shown to an audience. And if you want to be part of the audience, you buy an audience ticket, and then we have a large group of people who witness that process. And if you be in the audience, if you are in the audience several times again and again, then you sooner or later can grasp what actually is the point about transformation and trauma healing. And if you're a therapist, sooner or later you can apply all that in your way to you with your clients. So this is an invitation for all those who need help, for therapists, for even doctors. Yeah, because what I'm saying is that every problem we have, every symptom, in the end, it's the root cause is an attachment trauma. Yeah, a conflict on the relational level, and we don't see that. And but this is the root cause. And my whole life is about solving these issues, finding the core conflict and dissolve that. And then here in the German-speaking world, I'm quite successful. There are lots of people who attend this German event that is called Gespräche mit Gopal, and the equivalent is in English Sunday with Gopal. And I want to offer that to the world, so that more and more people, normal people, can see and realize that transformation is not a complicated thing in the end. Yeah, and that as a society we gain more and more the capacity to help each other to transform that. Yeah, because we will never have enough therapists. And this is impossible. The society needs to learn that, and we have to help each other as far as possible. So this is my intention for this video, and now we start with my work, how that works. And I'm sure if you are in that field, if you're a doctor or therapist, or if you need help, you will really see some very interesting points that are very unique. Yeah, and by listening to my words, you will see that already something happens inside of you. most probably. And at the end, I will show you the contact details and where you find, where you can buy tickets and book an individual session. I'm available for individual sessions for those of you who are not able to speak German. Yeah. So if you want an individual session without audience, also this is possible, but only for those who don't speak German. Okay, so let's start. Yeah. People come to me with all kinds of problems, situations, drama, suffering, difficult circumstances. And I'm not interested in that at all. I don't care why someone is coming to my events or to a session. I don't care what the life circumstances are. I don't care at all what someone has experienced in the past, no matter how severe that was. I don't care. I don't look at that. Yeah. Why? Why? Because these are things in time and space. Yeah, your current life circumstances are not here right now if you meet me, or right now if you listen to me. Your whole life circumstances are not here. You are here listening to me, hopefully, at least. And if you listen, you actually don't have life circumstances. They are not there in your consciousness. And the same with the past. What you have experienced is not here. If you listen to me now, here, there's no past. You have no past. So what we have is our connection right here now. The connection, and what does that mean? That means what is happening inside of us, in me and in you, now when you're listening and in the session. What's happening inside of us while we meet each other? And what is happening there is thoughts, emotions, and physical body sensations. These three layers. That's what we experience. I'm also not interested in any energetic or non personal spaces. This is not, these spaces are interesting, but there we cannot find the solution. The problem is within the body-mind system. And these three layers represent the body-mind system. And we have to look at that because this is distorted. Now, how do all the problems manifest? They manifest in the end by thoughts. So the next thing I say, and this is also, well, maybe not unique, but contradictory to most trauma therapists or many theories maybe, is that I say that trauma is not in the body. And I also say trauma has nothing to do with the emotions, with the feelings. What I say and what I have experienced is that what we call trauma or suffering or problems is recreated with the mind, with thoughts. So the root cause of all the suffering, of all the problems, and also of all the manifestations on the outside is our mind. And we are not conscious with what thoughts we manifest our whole life. And this means, again, the outside circumstances and also the inside states. And this all comes from the mind, from unconscious, deeply, how do you say, stored thoughts, core thoughts, that these thoughts have been created, or you have created these thoughts in your childhood. That's true. Yeah, they represent the relational experiences in your childhood. So, for example, if you have experienced violence, then maybe your core belief is contact, relationship means violence. Maybe even love means violence. So whenever you meet a person, your subconscious says, now this will end in violence. And because you're not aware of that, you try to avoid that. You create a compensation mechanism around that. And that creates the problems and in the end, the remanifestation. So in the end, if this is not conscious, you even attract people who are potentially violent. The same with, for example, if you have experienced neglect, and your core thought has become, for example, there's nobody, or if there's somebody, he will leave. Yeah. And then, of course, the compensation mechanism tries to avoid that the other leaves. And what happens? Yeah. If you try to make another person not leave, what happens? Of course, sooner or later he will leave, because this is not contact. Yeah. This is a defense or a compensation mechanism. So these thoughts have been created. You have created them. Yeah. Or not you. It's like the brain has built a mental representation of your relational experiences in the childhood. But today, you don't suffer from your past, you suffer from these automated thoughts, unconscious thoughts in your mind. So what is happening today is that unconsciously, you deeply believe in these thoughts, and they are running in your brain all the time, 24 hours. And this is what creates the suffering and the remanifestation. So the only problem at the core are these thoughts, these belief systems. And the nice thing is, or the good thing is, it's a very small space, a small area. It's not about any thoughts about the world or complicated thoughts. No, it's just the core thoughts about what is relationship. What does closeness to another person mean? So it's a very small area, and even we can even break it down even closer. It's not about anything or complex thing in a relationship. It's always about danger. Yeah. So actually there are only 4 core thoughts that are possible. The other will attack me. The other will leave me. The other will ignore me. Or the other will manipulate me. So all problems and suffering you have, the society has, your family, your partnership, the whole planet, is based on the identification with one of these core thoughts. From there, all the suffering arises. And that is why I don't work with the physical body anymore. That's why I even don't work with the emotions. I don't work with symptoms. I don't try to improve the situation of a client. I don't care about all these things because they have nothing to do with the root cause. For example, someone comes to you and says he has tension in the body, or he has lack of money, or he has conflict with partner, or he has no partner, and so on, or a physical illness. Of course, if there's a physical illness or not, in general, if you have symptoms, no matter if physically or mental, you go to a doctor, of course, to make sure there's no real illness there. So that's important. I'm not saying don't go to the doctor. Of course, you go in any case to the doctor and or to a psychotherapist. Very important. But then you focus on the core, of the root cause of all that. And it is difficult to find out these thoughts on your own. It's very difficult because the whole the whole system in you is based on not seeing these thoughts. Because if these thoughts would be conscious, your whole how would you say that your whole life, your whole inner structure would collapse, because you would see that this is nonsense. Yeah, if you clearly could see, oh, my whole life is based on the idea that others who come close to me will attack me, you would see immediately the absurdity of that it's not the case. I mean, and if it is the case, okay, but the general idea that closeness means violence makes no sense. So a part of you will do everything to not look at that, to avoid that, and rather deal with symptoms. And my work is to help you to find these thoughts. Yeah. And it's not a matter of, it doesn't take so long. Usually for most people it takes one or a few sessions at the most. And if you have found these thoughts and your whole system gets new information, yeah, I'm not explaining here how that works or how I work. That would be too much and too complicated, but just the principle. If you have found these thoughts and you have looked at reality outside, and your system accepts new information, yeah, and then the system realizes, well, with this concept something is strange, because right now I'm not being attacked. There's someone, in that example with violence, someone is there, he is not attacking me. So how can this concept be true? No, it's not true. It's not true, not in general. And then the whole stack, yeah, thoughts, emotions, body state, has a chance to change. And that's why I'm not working with emotions and body sensations, because as long as you are suffering, the emotions and the body sensations are just they are just a side effect of your unresolved core thoughts. So you will have anger, you will have sadness, jealousy, loneliness, whatsoever, or tension in the body, or even pain, or too much relaxation. Whatever is there is just follows the core thoughts. So it makes no sense. I mean, what the root cause, yeah, what about the root cause? It makes no sense to work with body sensations and emotions. It makes no sense because the cause is not there. And if a client is unstable, yeah, of course, then I work with the body and the emotions, but not to solve the problem. I do that to bring the client back to reality, so that I can continue with interaction and update the information that are stored in the brain. So this is how I work. This has been proven to be effective in many ways. Things change. And this is what you can look at. Yeah, if you have circled around with self-optimization, with working on symptoms, yeah, with endless therapy, you may have a look at that, how that works. And as I said, with Sunday with Gopal, you can just, for very few euros, you can be part in the audience, can be part of the audience and watch 2 hours. Most modern, most effective trauma therapy. And again, I'm not working with life details. I don't work with the past. I have nothing to do with that. Yeah, and the mind cannot understand that, because the mind exists in time and space, in content and objects. If we come to the level of interaction, the mind is part of the communication. That's why the mind cannot understand and cannot grasp that if you communicate out of the moment what is there. The mind has no control. So it may be very interesting. It may be confusing if you see that, but it may also bring something into into a new perspective, while you cannot really grasp it. Yeah. So this is my invitation. And if you really need, or if you really want an individual session without audience, you can also book a session. But of course, there are not many time slots for that. I'm focusing on the group work, the Sunday with Gopal, so that that I can reach more people. Yeah. If the audience grows, I don't have to change something with the technology. It doesn't matter how many people attend to the event. If there are 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, doesn't matter. It's the same for me. So I can, with that event, I can reach the maximum of people. In the German event here, we had over 1,000 participants. So it's growing, and people see that something is working. So this is my invitation. You can also study the few English videos I have on my English channel, but I really would like to emphasize that it's not about content. Yeah, by reading and studying, it's about new experiences in contact. This is the core. Yeah, new experiences of security while being in contact with another human. This is the key. This is the core of all my work and modern trauma therapy.